This is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome in to Scramble Drill's Dynasty Dive episode. We are back. It's week 8 we're heading into now. Is it week 8, Landon?
Going into week 8, Ben.
The season's going by quite quickly. And
far too fast.
It's exciting, but it's also scary because football is gone as quickly as it gets here. So savor it while it's here. That's all I can say. But anyway, we're here to talk about some Dynasty. I am Ben Watts. That's Landon Davis. And we've got, I hope, a good one to get into today. We've got some news we'll talk about. Some news is very exciting. Some news is incredibly depressing we're going to get into. And we've kind of just looked at some of the biggest risers, biggest fallers on Keep Trade Cut. And we're just going to have kind of a conversation about those guys. What do we think? Is it warranted? Does it make some of them a buy? And just get our general thoughts and opinions here. So, Landon, you got anything to say before we get this thing rolling?
Just there's conversations that need to be had. I mean, some of these guys, when you look on, where they were at the beginning of the season. And when we say risers and fallers, we're talking about from week 1 to now, basically.
Yeah.
Not like last 30 days, not last 2 weeks, like week 1 to now. There's some interesting things that need to be talked about.
And we're talking about like big risers and fallers too.
The
not
big
like
ones, yes.
Yeah, it's not like Jahmyr Gibbs went from running back 4 to running back 3 on Keep Trade Cut or stuff like that. That doesn't matter. I'm talking about big changes.
The big ones, yes.
All right. Well, let's hop into some news first. Let's start with some positive news, I reckon.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara got a 2-year extension with the Saints. I wasn't expecting it. I think he was on his last year anyway.
No, he had one more year, but it was a completely fake year.
They probably owed him so much money.
Yeah, it was like they saved something like $19 million if they cut him.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was crazy, and so it was going to be his last year with the Saints, but he got this extension.
Yeah, so I feel like that makes his dynasty value. You feel better knowing you've got him. You've probably got him one more year. And I did see somewhere in the contract or in the story when I saw it, they were saying this sets Kamara up to retire with the Saints. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice. Guys, a lot of guys prefer to not move their family, stay with one team, so it's good on his part. A lot of this is a cap situation extension. Like, they do this because that gives them more money next year and blah, 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 blah. But he got it.
Saints,
he probably got another
masters.
year. Are they?
I mean, I swear every season they go into like $70 million or something over the cap, something like crazy. And somehow or another, they keep managing to, the guys stay on the team and the cap just kind of goes away somehow. I don't know how they do it, but
that bill comes due, Ben.
It does.
That bill comes due, and it has come due and it hasn't. It hasn't because they somehow get under the cap without cutting all their players, but it has because they're not very good.
They never win the games.
Yeah, so it hasn't, and it's going to get worse, and I don't know, and whatever. But
there comes a time for real life and for fantasy teams, like, you just can't win it every year. You can't try to contend every year. Sometimes you got to cut bait, and let's look towards the future.
So, but for our purposes, if you have Alvin Kamara,
yeah, you like that.
You like this news. You like this news a lot.
Tua is practicing. Looks like he's going to be good to go. I know the Tyreek Hill owners are going to rejoice so much having him back.
Tyreek Hill owners, the Jalen Waddle owners, the Devon A-Chain owners, everyone other than the Tyler Huntley owners are thrilled right now.
And the Jonnu Smith owners. Did you see Jonnu Smith dominating last week?
Hey, do you remember a few years ago, Tyler Huntley comes in, Mark Andrews turns into prime Gronk, and
insane.
Now Tyler Huntley plays with Jonnu Smith, and he turns into Tony Gonzalez.
Mark Andrews has been feeding off that 6-game stretch for 2 years now.
He has. But, yeah, I mean, this is obviously, it's great for Tyreek. It's great. It's great for Jalen Waddle. It's great for A-Chain. So, yeah, all things good. Now, it hasn't been, I mean, he's practicing. It's not like official. He's back this week.
It looks positive, though.
It looks positive. It's a little scary from a, hey, is this bigger than football conversation about Tua?
Please wear the Guardian helmet, Tua, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if you look a little dumb. Like, you won't walk around cross-eyed the rest of your life. So
if you don't wear the Guardian cap, you might end the rest of your life actually dumb. So
yeah, So I'm not gonna make any more comments on that. But yeah, so let's. It could have got real dark on this episode real fast.
It could have.
But yeah, so hopefully he stays healthy, and it's great for all those guys. And I mean, I think it's like instant. Like, obviously, you were playing Tyreek Hill anyway, no matter what. You got to take your medicine.
You were frustrated, but you were doing it.
You were frustrated, but you had to play him. Jalen Waddle, you were probably not playing the last few weeks. I think instantly you're playing both of them. Like, and you feel fine about it. Yeah, he's back to at his best. You know, he's a wide receiver too, and at his worst, he's a flex on every roster.
He's a high-end flex play, I think, regardless of your format.
Yeah, and he's the type of guy that has the upside to be the wide receiver one any given week. Let's not forget that about Jalen Waddle. Like, he can score 2 60-yard touchdowns in a game. Like, that's in his will.
4 targets, and he can have 30 fantasy points.
That's in the bag. So yeah, you feel good about both those guys, and good for Tua. I mean, if he thinks, hey, I'm good, let's roll then.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. For Thursday night, I'm gonna talk about 2 players. Cooper Kupp is back for sure. He's playing. He's healthy. I'm very excited. I need Cooper Kupp in several leagues. I know Josh needs him a few times. I'm excited to see Cooper Kupp. And TJ Hawkinson has been limited in practice. He's going in with a questionable tag. I'm not necessarily counting on him playing, but it's possible TJ Hawkinson plays on Thursday as well.
I think actually, like, typically if you have an injury, Thursday's bad. Like, you don't want a Thursday game because it's harder to get back. But actually for Hawkinson, I would like the Thursday night play because he hasn't been playing already, and then that gives him 10 days of recovery as opposed to the normal 7. So I would in my mind, like, Thursday night game's good for him, but it doesn't look like he's going to play. But yeah, so this is great. Hawkinson is certainly not a automatic start his first game back. I mean, I unless you're in a really deeply, and I know tight end's a wasteland anyway, but I don't think he's set in anybody's lineup first game back. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is a top 10 play this week if he's playing with no Puka.
Puka they're listing as questionable, but they haven't taken him off the IR spot either, so I'm not necessarily counting on him to play, but
yeah. No Puka. Cooper Kupp's a top 10 play this week.
Easily. Puka, I mean, he's a top 15 even with Puka there. That's how good they are.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
And last piece of exciting news, I'll say that. DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs watched Devontae Adams go to the Jets. They watched Amari Cooper go to the Bills, so they said, we need to go get a guy. And they got Nuke Hopkins for a 4th-round pick.
We'll see what he's got.
It's interesting. He's old. I don't know how much juice he's got, but
yeah, I mean, he had moments last year. Obviously, you definitely upgrade him to where he was. You know, like, wide receiver 2 in Tennessee is a ridiculously bad spot to be in 2024.
Wide receiver 1 in Tennessee is a bad spot.
Yeah, obviously. I like wide receiver 1, which is what he is in Kansas City. I like that a lot better. So he definitely gets a boost. And we'll see. I mean, I don't have a strong conviction either way. Like, I'm not like, oh, lock him in your lineups. I mean, he's a must start every week. I'm not really there, but I'm also not like, he's whatever. He's 32. He's probably done. I'm not there either. I think we wait and see how this goes. But, I mean, he's a wide receiver 3 with upside, I think, right now.
Yeah,
he's probably where I have him.
You definitely sell or hold. I don't really know. We kind of had this conversation in our group chat with Josh earlier today of people trying to buy him and vice versa. I'm like, you ask a second-round pick maybe if you're not planning to keep DeAndre Hopkins to play him at any point this year. I don't know many people are going to give you that. So
yeah, if you can get a second-round pick, you take it. For sure.
But if I got him, like, I don't really want to give you like a third-round pick like that. I don't really care about that, so I might as well just keep him.
I got offered a third-round pick. I got offered a third-round pick this morning. I countered it, but it's not like I didn't say yes to that. A second, I would have said yes probably. But yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. Some crushing news, especially for my team. Mike Evans re-injured his hamstring on Thursday night, and they said he's going to be out until is the bye in week 11 or week 11 is when he's probably going to be able to play. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I saw that date, week 11. That might be the bye. So maybe you're looking at week 12.
Okay, their bye is in week 11. So week 12 is probably the earliest.
At the earliest. The earliest.
So you're going to be without.
Hamstrings are tough, man.
Yeah.
And they're real tough when you're 30 years old.
So you're looking at a full month with no Chris Godwin or no Mike Evans.
Yep.
And Chris Godwin, man, that absolutely crushed my heart. He's been kind of our champion between you and me, saying buy him. He's always a buy. And he's been one of the driving forces of my Mully Dynasty team, the granddaddy of them all.
Carried you.
He should not have even been on the field. He should not have even been on the field.
Like, it doesn't make it worse, but it does when the game's out of hand.
And it's like, it's frustrating because, like, I was hoping for garbage time points, but I kind of already lost that week no matter what. And then to see that, man,
it's crushing.
It's tough. It's tough. So tough.
It's tough.
And the fallout is obviously Chris Godwin is an unrestricted free agent next year. So that's going to affect him potentially getting a new contract somewhere. It's going to
my lean would be he comes back to the Bucs just for less money than he would have gotten without the injury. Is where I would lean, but who knows? I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent. Anything can happen.
Yeah. I mean, and there's some good free agent wide receivers next year.
Yeah.
T. Higgins being one of them. And I think that we need to have a conversation about Baker. We were actually going to talk about Baker on this episode before this because of how much he has risen up rankings. But he just lost his number 1 and number 2. Really, both of those guys were number 1 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And this is interesting.
I mean, you can't I don't see a world where he's the same guy over the next month. Like, you can't just lose your 2 best players. Like, they're not just their 2 best receivers. They're their 2 best players. Now, Baker gets a decent amount of yardage and touchdowns from dump-offs to Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin. He really does. But that offense is going to be completely different. I mean, completely different without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Yeah, he goes from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to Jalen McMillan and Cade Otton.
Yeah, I mean, Baker's dynasty value had exploded, and we were going to talk about him because we're talking about the biggest risers. He was on the list.
And he was going to be on the list of, like, I agree with his value kind of thing. Like, he shot up rankings, and I'm like, I love it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was going to have the conversation, are we sure we want Jared Goff more than Baker Mayfield? I was going to have those conversations. But now it's just, I mean, it's tough to.
It's nobody's fault.
I don't know.
It just sucks, the whole situation.
You can't sell him right now. If you're a contender, you don't want to buy him. Is he kind of a twisted rebuild buy, possibly? I mean,
maybe.
It's just it's just
Problem
a little
is,
strange.
I don't
think,
know what the future holds at wide receiver now. Like, I don't know what Mike Evans is going to be next year. I hope he's still good. I don't know what the situation is going to look like with Chris Godwin. It's just
I think
tough, man.
Baker's found him a home. It's just the what's around him isn't going to be the same. So I think with Baker right now, you kind of just hold, see what happens over these next few weeks. And maybe Mike Evans comes back and Jalen McMillan is taking a step up and the team looks,
I do like Jalen McMillan as like the prospect and the player. I think he can be really good. He's got a chance to show it. This is a perfect chance to show it.
Yep. So.
All right. Now, with that terrible news out of the way, let's get into some Dynasty risers and fallers and movers. Let's see what we got. Let's start off
biggest
with
movers.
Let's start off with tight end because
Okay.
we mentioned this. There's nothing to say here. Nothing to say.
So here's the movers in tight end. All right, here's what we want to talk about as far as movers. If their name is not Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, you are not building your team around them.
Under any circumstances.
There is not one other guy. Laporta, no. Kincaid, no. Pitts, no. There's no one else you're building your team around. There's no one else who is even really like everyone else is kind of for sale. If I have them, like if someone's going to offer me, let's say I have Dalton Kincaid and he's ranked significantly ahead of the guy I talked about earlier is a Cole Kmet, right? He's ranked significantly ahead of him. If someone wants to offer me Cole Kmet and somebody I can play in my flex, I'm having that conversation because the production's not that different. It's just not. That's where tight end is. That's where the landscape is. If your name is not Trey McBride or Brock Bowers, you are not a dynasty tight end people can build their teams around, and it's that simple.
Even a guy who I really like TJ Hawkinson, I mean, he is 27, but I got to see him in the new offense, and he's coming off a huge knee injury.
You got to see it. You got to see it.
Yeah,
I think he'll be good. But I'm not willing to stake my dynasty team on it.
No. And there teams where I'm having to do that. Got a Hawkinson share. He's the future of the franchise.
I know there are. I have them too.
Yeah,
So.
I like Hawkinson a lot, but
Yeah.
all right.
But that's where we're at with tight ends. Like if it's
There's
not
two.
Bowers or McBride, you're not building your team around them.
Literally
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
All right, quarterbacks. These are interesting. Do you want to talk about the guys who have fallen first or the guys who've risen up?
Let's just do it in order. Yeah, let's do the fallers.
Patrick Mahomes. This has, I'm seeing reports from the Chiefs camp that despite the struggles, they're going to keep on with him as the starting quarterback from what I've heard.
So I was talking to, obviously my wife Shelby knows nothing about football. And I mentioned in passing that in the granddaddy of them all, I have now benched Mahomes and Jaden Daniels is my starter, right? Benched Mahomes. And I said that. And she said, she reacted in a way she doesn't react to when I talk about sports. She was like,
normally
what?
just tunes you out.
She was like, what? And I was like, yeah, Mahomes, I benched him. And she was like, the Chiefs benched Mahomes? And I was like, no. The Chiefs didn't bench Mahomes. I benched Mahomes on my fantasy team. But that's where we're at. I mean, we're talking about some bad numbers with Patrick Mahomes right now. And I'm the biggest Patrick Mahomes fan in the world.
Oh, did you listen to the latest episode Josh and I had?
I have not yet.
Thank God.
I have not yet.
You probably wouldn't record this episode with us.
Why? You trashed him?
Not trashed him, but his play's just not good this year. It's just not.
No. And here's the thing. Here, I want to say this. If any other quarterback was on the Chiefs this year, Lamar, Josh Allen, whoever you want to put, they would not be 6-0. Okay? I will say that. And if the Chiefs were giving up 30 points a game, he would be scoring 34. I believe both of those things with my whole heart. And now you can keep going.
Okay.
I believe
we
those
don't
with
need
my
to go into
whole heart.
all of those conversations, but
No, we do
the
not.
hard and simple truth of it is the guy has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The play has not been there. For fantasy, it's awful. Now, let me be clear. This is not a real-life conversation. as huge of a Josh Allen fan as I am, and you know this, I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Patrick Mahomes is still my pick to win the Super Bowl. It is. That's where he is. But it's not the way the Chiefs play right now. The defense of the Chiefs is far more valuable to them than their offense. It just is the way it is, and that's how they're trying to win games. They're not leaning on Patrick Mahomes. They're just not. And until I don't see that changing for the time being either. I don't see it changing.
Fantasy-wise, I'm basically out on Mahomes. I'm the biggest Mahomes fan in the world. Fantasy-wise, I'm out on him. And like I said, if the Chiefs were giving up 30, he'd be the QB 1 or 2 right now. I genuinely believe that, but it's just the way they play. It's just the style of play they have.
Let me throw a stat at you right now.
And it's
Patrick Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Drake May has 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Oh, yeah. No, 6 touchdowns on the season and 1 rushing, so 7 total touchdowns. Like, it's unbelievable. It's mind-boggling. Like I said, I went out and traded for Jaden Daniels because Mahomes has been so bad. So I get it. Now, the price. Keep Trade Cut has him as a mid-second round startup pick right now. Okay, where are you at with that?
We have overcorrected. Now, I will say this: as a contender team, you cannot use Mahomes. He cannot help you as a contender right now. It's just not possible.
He has to be.
But as a
he has to be your QB3. He has to be.
Yeah.
If he's your QB2, dude, he's scoring 13 points a game.
Yeah,
what are you going to do with that?
No, it's ugly. He's scoring Justin Herbert numbers right now. Him and Justin Herbert are in a rough place right now. But as a rebuild, though, you are never going to get Mahomes this cheap. Ever. Ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a rebuild, I'm trading Burrow. I'm trading all these guys. Go get him.
Let's not forget. Coming into the season, it was supposed to be Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Kelsey as your main target share, and then Xavier Worthy to spread the defense. And that was like we were pumped about. that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hollywood Brown never played for him. Rashee Rice, who looks awesome, is out now. But even with Rashee Rice, Mahomes wasn't producing.
That's what I was going to say. People are asking, where does D-Hop put Mahomes back? Like, he wasn't doing it with Rashee Rice, and I would say Rashee Rice is far better than DeAndre Hopkins is at this point in their career.
Yeah. No. So that's where we're and Kelsey looks like he's regressed. Now he's going to be the best player. He's going to be the best skill player in the postseason again because he did the same thing last year. But he's just not doing it in the regular season for whatever reason. This team, because of their defense, it's so frustrating to watch them. Every time they get in the red zone and it's 4th and 1, they just take the field goal because they know their defense is going to come on the field and get the ball back, and it drives you crazy. But that's just what happens.
I can't stand it. I would not believe it either. Like in Mahomes' early career, even though like I was a big Josh Allen fan and like always have been, like I did not miss a Chiefs game. Like they were must-watch TV. I hate every Chiefs game right now.
4th and 8, they're going for it back then. Now it's 4th and 3 inches. Let's take the points.
I can't stand the Chiefs game right now. I can't stand it.
That's why the Chief you want most right now is Harrison Butker. That's why. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if it would be different kickers.
It would be different if they were losing. Like I wish the Chiefs were losing games. Not even because like I want to see somebody else win. I wish the Chiefs were losing games because they would have to change their strategy. They'd have to, but they're not. They're winning everything.
Yeah, So I'm with you. Dynasty wise, he's better than a mid-second round pick. He just is. Like, is he producing right now? No, he's not.
Is he still a top 3
regular
Dynasty quarterback? Is he?
No. He can't be. He can't.
Even in Dynasty.
You can't. Top 3 in Dynasty is reserved for excellent future and elite producer right now. That's what you have to be to be top 3 at any position, and that's not him. He can't be top 3, but should he be a late first-round startup pick? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he should be. He's no longer the QB3. He's definitely closer to 5, 6, 7. But yeah, I mean, I agree. He's a little bit of a buy for anyone, and he's 100% a buy for rebuilds.
Oh yeah, because his production's not there.
I will say this:
it's gonna get.
Here's my Mahomes take. This week will be the highest points he scores all year. The Raiders were talking so much trash in the offseason, right? Even though they're terrible. I don't even think it's the D-Hop first game back. I just think the Chiefs, even though their passing offense has not been great, they can kind of do whatever they want to the Raiders because the Raiders are terrible.
They have a point to prove today.
Even if Mahomes isn't back, Andy Reid's going to want to make it look like he's back, and he can do that against the Raiders. And then they had the whole, if you saw their DB with the Kermit the Frog thing
that's what I was
before the
thinking
season.
Of.
I could imagine this being the highest points Mahomes scores all year, but
I'm not even a Giants Mahomes fan, and that made me mad. Like, sir, you have zero right to say that. No right.
Yeah, that guy right there, number 15, I said this in our group chat last night. Every team in the league would trade their 2 best players for him, and most would trade way more than that for that guy. But as far as fantasy and Dynasty goes, he can't be there. He should be falling down boards, but we have overcorrected a little bit. I agree.
Yeah. What about Anthony Richardson, Josh's main man, the offseason?
So
he's QB 16 right now. He was, I think he got up to QB 6, I believe.
After week 1, he had a big game, and we came on here and said, do not overreact yet, okay? Do not be sending Josh Allen for Anthony Richardson. We said that after week 1, and we have proven to be right. I had a take, and I wish I would have said it on this podcast so I could have it documented before the season. I never said it, but I had a take of like, Anthony Richardson could be the most overrated Dynasty player of all time right now because he was going in the first round of all startups.
Oh, I think in our Scramble Drill Dynasty team, you went at 8, I believe.
Yeah, 8 to 10, somewhere in there. Now, do I think he could still be a Dynasty stud? I do. I do think he has that ability. He just has to be able to be good enough to not get benched in the NFL. Like, he doesn't have to be Joe Burrow throwing the football. He just has to be able – Shane Steichen just has to be able to justify not playing Joe Flacco, which is hard to do right now.
I don't think he can do it right this second because right now he's Bryce Young throwing the football.
It's hard to do right now. Dude, the completion percentages are crazy.
Somebody said that Anthony Richardson is the Daniel Jones of Cam Newton's. I thought that was really funny.
The Daniel Jones of Cam Newton. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Legitimately, man. All he has to do, if he can, and he has Shane Steichen, who had me thinking that Jalen Hurts was a top 5 quarterback. Shane Steichen had me thinking in real life.
That was one of the few arguments, and Josh was correct in assuming it. I'm like, I can't really refute when he says he's got Shane Steichen. I'm like, Shane Steichen is a wizard.
No, he's got him. He just has to be a quarterback that doesn't get benched. And then with his rushing and his style of rushing, it just opens up for so many, not just rushing touchdowns, but also passing touchdowns. Like, he can be a touchdown machine. We saw that last year in his limited time. We saw it in week 1. But he can't be someone. The reason I'm fine with this fall, he's like QB 17, 18, 16, somewhere in there right now. The reason I'm fine with that is because I'm treating him right now a little bit like I was Justin Fields a couple years ago, where it's like there was a time a couple years ago Justin Fields was like QB 4 or 5. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, Justin, you don't have to be a great quarterback. You just have to be good enough not to get benched in the NFL.
Just keep your job.
Just keep your job. That's kind of where I'm at with AR, and he's not proven that he's not going to get benched.
No, I mean, you can argue draft capital. So he has the same draft capital Justin Fields had. Everybody think about that. He has the same draft capital.
Higher. Yeah.
I thought they were both taken at pick 4.
No, Fields was 11.
That's right. Fields went 11. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I forgot about
he's
that.
got, hey, for what it's worth, he's got higher draft capital than Patrick Mahomes. That's job security right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Higher draft capital than Josh Allen? I mean, come on.
Higher draft capital than Lamar Jackson, than
Yeah,
Justin Herbert.
way higher than Lamar.
Like,
Yeah. Tom Brady? He's better than Brady.
Tom Brady.
What can we say? He's better than Brady.
obviously, he's a better athlete than Brady.
no.
I'll give you that.
No, my only worry with him is not, anything. It's not anything right now about his production over the last few weeks. He's not really justifying being a starter. And if you're not starting, it's really hard to score fantasy points when you don't play, Ben. Really
That's
hard.
Michael Penix.
Yeah, it's really hard. So I'm fine with this fall. He's a risky buy. Like, he's a buy that could be a lottery win. Like, you could win the lottery if you buy him right now. But he's also a buy that, you could set whatever you trade him for on fire within the next 18 months.
Yeah, if you trade 2 first-round picks for Anthony Richardson and he turns into Josh Allen.
It doesn't take that right now.
Does not take that right now. But, 2 first-round picks for Josh Allen 4 years ago, boy, that was a win.
That was awesome.
But Josh Allen was also in a similar situation to Anthony Richardson. I'm like, are they going to keep him? Like, what are they going to do with him?
It's different, though. Richardson already has his weapons. Allen didn't at the time.
That's true. That is true.
Allen didn't. They got him Stephon Diggs, and he turned into not like a starter. He turned into one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot of people say number 2. And then AR, kind of like Pittman's been paid. Downs is fine. They just drafted A.D. Mitchell. Jonathan Taylor's great, even though he's been hurt.
Got a good
And I think
offensive
Taylor
line.
coming back is going to help him. I think Taylor coming back will help AR. Like that's a real thing.
It has
But-
adding one of the best offensive players to an offense like that can't hurt it.
Yeah, right. So he's a risky buy right now. And if I have him, if I'm getting the keep trade cut value offers for him, I'm holding. I would rather not trade him for the price he's going for now and him get benched than trade him for the prices he's going for now and him to turn into what Jaden Daniels is right now or something like that,
Yeah. No, for
So
sure.
I'm holding him. And he's a risky buy. If you want to make it, I can't blame you because the talent is there, but he's a risky buy.
Yep. All right. So we got one riser at quarterback, which will be an interesting conversation. A North Carolina boy, your boy, Drake May.
My boy, Drake May. I do not like him as much as I love his brother. The real ones understand what that means.
Yeah, you're
But,
far more of a
yeah.
basketball guy than a football guy. At
For
North
college,
Carolina.
for
At
sure.
North Carolina, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Drake May, he's proven that what we knew is true. He's big, he's strong, got a little rushing upside, and he can throw it a long ways. And that's the makings of someone who scores a lot of fantasy points at the quarterback position. Now, he is up on keep trade cut to QB 12. QB 12 right now.
Initially, when you said that, I thought that was really high. The only player, though, looking at it at this point that I truly disagree with is Justin Herbert, who's one spot behind him. I would still definitely take Herbert over May.
Yeah.
But after that, man, and I guess it's not a huge rise because preseason, he was probably going around QB 17 or 16.
But he lost value when he didn't. When it was announced Jacoby Brissett was going to start, he dropped. He did drop. He was like QB 20. Yeah.
But I kind of agree. That's probably where he should be. I would if Godwin and Evans hadn't got hurt, I would probably argue Baker.
Yes, Baker would be above him. Yes, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Jared Goff or Drake May.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think I feel safer with Goff for sure. We've only seen Drake May play 2 games, but Drake May has scored 20 plus points, 22 plus points in both games in a terrible offense. I mean, that offense is abysmal.
No, that's kind of what I was going to say is, I mean, the only thing you hope is, as bad as it is, you don't expect great things. I'm like, just don't be horrendous out there. And he hasn't been.
And their best offensive player has been playing, but he's hurt. Ramondre Stevenson is their best offensive player. He's been playing, but he's playing hurt. And, like, when Ramondre Stevenson's your best offensive player, that ain't great.
Yeah, that's a props to Drake May when Ramondre is his best weapon.
That ain't great. So,
no,
I mean,
don't love that.
Now, we haven't seen the floor yet, because I promise you there's a game coming where we see the floor.
It's going to be ugly.
He's going to throw up. He's going to throw up 7 points one of these weeks, and we're going to be like, I don't know. We haven't seen that floor yet.
They're going to go up against. I know they look bad now, but the Jets still have a really good defense. Like, you go up against the Jets and throw 3 picks, and it'll be ugly.
Yeah.
But
so that game's
they play the Jets this week, so we'll see.
But I think this rise is kind of justified. I think between QB 12 and 14 is definitely where he should be right now. Looking at this, I agree with you. Right now, I feel safer with him than I do with Anthony Richardson. I feel safer.
I mean,
I'm not saying I think in 6 weeks I'll feel that way, but right now I feel safer. Like, I don't think Drake May is going to get benched in the next 18 months.
No, especially, I mean, they know this is a rebuilding year, and they've already made the switch to him. Like, they're going to ride it out and see what they've got.
Right.
I don't put it past the Colts to say we're good. Right now, Joe Flacco gives us a better chance to win, and they make that switch.
Oh, goodness. And the Josh Downs fans rejoice. But
dude, Josh Downs is great when Joe Flacco plays.
He's a wide receiver too when Flacco plays, and he is barely rosterable when AR plays.
You cannot, if you drop him when Anthony Richards is the quarterback, I am not touching him.
Forget startable, rosterable. You can't roster the guy. He had 1 catch for 3 yards on 3 targets.
God. To be fair, like, everybody gets 3 targets.
He's putting up 17 points a game with Flacco. He gets 1 catch for 3 yards.
You've got, I think, several Josh Downs shares. You would love Flacco to finish the year.
I'm fine with that. Yes,
you would love that.
I'm fine with that. All right. So the running backs and receivers, we need to probably go.
Yeah, I was just about to say we need to move on to some running backs. We got 3 running backs. They've all risen. We don't have really any fallers here. Kenneth Walker, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry. Where do you want to start here?
Kenneth Walker. Guys, he's a top 5 Dynasty RB.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that out of me.
He's a top 5 Dynasty RB. He's right there. I would have him neck and neck with, when I say neck and neck, I mean like he's a little ahead. It's like him, A-Chain, and Jonathan Taylor are all in that 4 to 7 range, somewhere in there. Saquon thrown in right behind the big 3. I mean, Kenneth Walker, if you watch the games, he's getting a little bit of the Austin Eckler treatment a few years ago, where Eckler would only play 45 to 55% of the snaps, but every important touch went to him.
Yeah.
Once they hit the 30-yard line, he got every touch all the way in, and then all the passing down work. And that's what's happening with Kenneth Walker right now. He's getting passing down usage. He's scoring touchdowns. I've never been... I liked Charbonnet coming in when he was a rookie. You watched him play. I've never been overly impressed with Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker, however, I have been. And
I mean, Walker, he's explosive. He's the explosive back.
I would not be shocked at all if right around the time Breece Hall gets an extension, whether it's this offseason or next, Kenneth Walker's getting a very similar deal to him and sticking around for 2 or 3 more years after his rookie contract in Seattle. Man, Kenneth Walker he's legit, and if you want him, if you don't have him, you got to pay top 5 dynasty running back prices to get him.
Yeah, and
that's fair.
I feel good about my team if he's my RB1 on it.
Yeah. Yeah, like he is a guy you can trust as an RB1. I mean, do you look at the way I don't know. Yeah, he's a top 5 dynasty running back, and I don't. The only reservation shouldn't even be said because it's a reservation for every running back. It's injury. Like, he's been banged up in his career a good bit. He's a running back. They get hurt. What are you going to do? If you want a fully healthy running back, you don't get it. It doesn't exist. So,
No.
yeah, top 5, lock it in, and I feel fine paying those prices to get him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have much to add. I definitely agree with you. You could argue him at RB4 for me, and I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yep.
All right. Kyron Williams. I don't know what to do.
Kyron?
I don't know what to do with him.
He's just gonna produce. I'm treating him like I treat the guy we're gonna talk about next, like Derrick Henry. I'm treating him like Alvin Kamara. I don't love the outlook of him getting a long-term deal, even an extension at all. But
he's heading into his last year with the Rams next year.
You got him this year, you got him next year, and if you have him on your team, there's a good chance you win a championship. Like, if you're a contender with him, he's the guy who is a reason you win the championship. So I treat him like I treat Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. Another guy we should have talked about, we don't have him on here, Joe Mixon, who looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm treating him like those guys. And I'm treating him like, even though his future outlook may not be great, I don't need, other than Gibbs, Bijan, Brees, Kenneth Walker, maybe A-Chain, nobody's future outlook looks good as a running back. That doesn't exist. You're getting very picky if you're looking for that. So those guys, like, I'm fine investing heavily in them because they're going to help me win championships. That's how you win championships, is running backs, right? That's why they get hurt the most. That's why people say don't invest in those if you're rebuilding, because they're the quickest to lose value, but they're also what puts you over the edge for championships. And I'm treating him like I treat those other guys. I'm fine with investing in him.
An elite win now asset.
He is. He missed a couple games last year, but he's small. But he didn't he didn't get as banged up as you would think for his size.
He is one of the only guys outside of Saquon who is a true workhorse.
Yes.
Like, even the other guys, like the guys ahead of him, Bijan, Gibbs, up until recently, Brees Hall wasn't even getting this. Like nobody else in his backfield touches the ball besides him. Nobody.
No. It's incredible. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. Same thing. We'll talk about Derrick Henry. Same thing. Like, dude, he's
the RB1.
He's the best running back in the league right now. He's the RB1. You have to say, like, do I like James Cook's future outlook better than his? Yeah, I do. Would I rather have Derrick Henry? Yeah, I would.
If you're trying, this is not a rebuilding conversation.
There's younger guys who, yes, I like their future outlook better than him. Do I know that Derrick Henry is going to be any good next year? Can I tell you with 100% confidence you got Derrick Henry for this year and next? No, I can't. The cliff could come at any time. I'd still prefer him to almost every other running back, even in dynasty formats, just because he's good now. He's good now.
It's a contending question. Like, it's not. If you're not going to win this year, obviously don't pay attention to this. But if you got a shot to win,
yes. Would I trade some of these younger guys? Like, let's say over the next few weeks, okay, it turns into Bucky Irving getting 70% of the snaps and Sean Tucker and Rashad White splitting up the other 30%. And you're like, would you trade Bucky Irving for Derrick Henry? Yes. Like,
Jonathan Brooks
he's going to
for
help
Derrick
you
Henry.
Win. That's tough, actually.
That
one got me, because you know how much I love Jonathan Brooks. Okay,
we are a pro Jonathan Brooks podcast.
But if I was a real contender, yeah, I would do it. I would do it right now. If I was a true contender, like I think I can win the championship this year, yes, I would. I would. Like, that's where I'm at with running backs, man. If you're looking for a running back to be on your team for 6 years, look somewhere else.
You're crazy.
It doesn't exist.
I'm not looking at Bijan or Gibbs for that.
No, it doesn't exist. If a running back can give me, if you can promise me a running back can give me this year and next year, I'm fine with putting him ahead of everyone except the top 3, and then Saquon, Walker, A-Chain, Taylor. I'm fine with putting Derrick Henry after that. Like, I'm good with that. Just because if you can't count on a running back to be good for 4 years. You just can't. So
well, that's the only
give
reason
me the guy
that,
who's producing
that
now.
Bijan, Gibbs, and Hall are up there is just because of how elite they are, and outside of injury, they'll give you 4 years. Unless some catastrophic injury, they'll give you 4 years.
Yes, that is true. Well, think about this. Would you rather have the conversation you're really having is, would you rather have a guy be somewhere in between running back 10 and 14 every year for the next 4 years? Or would you rather have a guy be a top 5 running back for the next 2 and then off your roster after that? I think I'd rather have the guy be top 5.
Which guy? I mean, yes, you need some guys who are 10 to 15 to help stabilize you, but that guy doesn't win it for you.
And I'd much prefer, even in deeper leagues, I'd much prefer looking for more top-end talent at running back and using wide receivers to fill out my flex anyways.
Yeah.
I would rather
I'm definitely
have
more of a hero RB strategy. That's definitely where
I'd rather have two solid running backs that I can count on. It's like, if they get hurt, I'm kind of screwed. And then fill out my flexes with wide receivers. I'd rather have that than have 4 RB2s.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
So that's where we're at on running backs, guys.
Speaking of wide receivers to fill out the rest of your roster, there's a few that have moved up, a couple that have moved down, mainly because of potential injuries around guys. Let's go with the guys who are up. BTJ. Is he a kind of a surprise of the year? One of the surprises of the year?
Ben, I'm all in.
You're all in on BTJ.
I'm all in.
All in.
Because what is he right now? Like where's he ranked right now?
On keep
in
trade,
redraft. Like,
cut
no,
or
no,
redraft?
not keep trade cut. Like what is his wide receiver ranking right now?
Let me pull
in
up.
half point PPR, he is
Got him in a redraft
this.
league. Let me look. Full PPR, he's the wide receiver 8.
Okay, in the half point, he's wide receiver 6. He's doing that, and coming into the year, I had 2 main questions about him. One is, obviously, you like the college tape. He was mostly a big threat or
that was one of the reservations I had.
guy.
Is like, is he only going to be a deep threat in the NFL?
To me, my reservation was he looked too jacked. Actually, he looked
He's
like
too jacked.
He looked just like big, and he didn't look slow to me, but he looked like a tight end in college, in a college uniform more than a receiver. And I was like, is that going to work? He doesn't look up. He looks like he lost some weight. He looks like a receiver. That was a reservation. And my other one was like, man, there's kind of a lot of mouths to feed there. I don't know if he'll be able to break through. And I thought the Jags offense was going to be better than this. Turns out the Jags offense is no good. All those people I was worried about are all healthy, and he's still dominating.
Yeah. Now
He's still dominating.
Christian Kirk is an afterthought now, and
afterthought.
I liked Christian Kirk going in the year. We really did, and
yep,
it sucks. I had a few Christian Kirk shares, but
yeah, we can do the Christian Kirk funeral another time. But
man,
Brian Thomas Jr. Like he's got the ability to score the 60-yard touchdown, and he's showing the ability. Like they're targeting him a lot. They were throwing him screens this week. They threw him like 3 screens. I mean,
he had a touchdown in the red zone. Like
touchdown in the red zone, can score the long touchdown. I'm all in. Like this is a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. This is a top 10 dynasty wide receiver.
Okay.
Give me him over. Yeah.
Let's have some name conversations. Because top 10, you're got some big names around there.
I got some big names.
Okay, Drake London.
BTJ.
Okay, Puka Nakua.
Ty.
Wow.
Ty.
Garrett Wilson.
BTJ.
A.J. Brown.
Ty. I'm a little more partial to older guys than a lot of Dynasty
What about,
people. So
I feel like I know the answer to
Ty.
this one. Nico Collins.
Nico.
That's got to be Nico, yeah.
Yeah. And with the Rashee Rice injury, I'll have him ahead of him. If Rashee Rice wouldn't have been injured, I would have Rice ahead. But, I mean, you have
Justin
to factor
Jefferson.
in that Rice isn't. Yeah, give me Jefferson. Give me Jefferson and give me Marvin. Give me Marvin. I'm starting to have a little worries of Marvin. I'll still take him over Brian Thomas Jr.
We'll have the Marvin conversation another time. If Marvin's still like this in 2 or 3 weeks, let's talk. Let's talk then.
In 3 weeks, I'm gonna be side eyeing for sure.
We're gonna have questions. We're gonna have questions.
We're gonna have some questions. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is dude, the Jags offense is bad.
Oh, it's horrible.
They're terrible. They don't know. They have one running back. That's clearly their best. That is not their starter for some reason.
They're on a strike.
Like, they don't know what to do.
Just kidding.
Doug Peterson is thankful they got to play the Patriots that second week.
He
in
was
London, or he
getting
would have been
fired
left
if they
there.
lost that game. He was getting fired.
If they played a good team and lost, he was staying in London. Airbnb, bro. Verbo. I don't know if they have that across the pond, but you'd have been staying there for a few weeks. Like, that offense is terrible. They don't know what they're doing, but they know they can get him the ball, and he just looks good.
This guy's our best player. Get him involved.
He's the best player on the Jags.
Yes.
If other teams could say you can have anyone from the Jags, any player, who are you taking? He's the number one pick.
We'll take that one.
Maybe like atrocious quarterback teams would take Trevor. But
yeah, I think the Raiders would take Trevor. The Panthers would take Trevor.
Raiders are like, please give me Trevor Lawrence. Please.
I will give you anything.
I'll give you, a first-round pick for every year he's in the league.
We won't give you Brock Bowers, but...
Yeah. But,
all right, Jaden Reed.
Dude, I don't know. I
don't know what to do with.
I think he's an extremely good football player.
He's the best receiver on the Packers, for sure.
I think he is outside of... Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love's their best player. After that, I'm not super keen on all the offensive line, defensive line play. To my eye, Jaden Reed looks like the second best player. The offense is just, man, it drives you crazy.
Because there's literally, we talk about this with the Lions and stuff like that. There's literally too many mouths in Green Bay. Jaden Reed gets like 5 to 6 targets a game. He's awesome with every single one of them, but it's just not enough if he doesn't score a touchdown.
He gets about... And I will say this, I think he's a little banged up, which doesn't, I mean, you can still get plenty of targets when you're banged up, right? But he typically also gets 2 or 3 carries. He hasn't been getting that. That's what makes me think he's actually a little hurt. But still, it just drives you crazy. He's going to have weeks where, if he has a week where he gets 9 targets, he's probably a top 10 receiver that week. It's just, you just can't count on it. You just can't count on it. Matt LaFleur, he is a evil genius, and he schemes up. He gets whoever he wants to get open on a play, he gets open.
He's like McVay.
If someone was just on the sideline and like, hey, let's get and say draw something up to get Romeo Doubs open, Romeo Doubs would be wide open. If they said draw something up to get Christian Watson open, he'd be wide open. Same thing. He's just good at it. I think he knows Jaden Reed's his best offensive weapon, but he's just dialed into spreading it out, and it's frustrating.
It's not like, I mean, he is the best for sure, but it's not like the other guys are bad either, and that's part of the problem is like he's going to use them. He has no reason not to.
Yeah, but he's been good enough to where he's put himself in the everybody you just mentioned. We were talking about BTJ, like the questions you were asking me, Garrett Wilson, Drake London. He's put himself in the group below them. He's in the Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle tier, T. Higgins.
Yeah, I would say
he's put himself in that tier. Like that's where he's at. That's where he's risen to, and I think that's fair.
Yep. And speaking of T. Higgins, he's the third I can't talk. The third riser we put here because we were so irresponsible with his ranking before the season.
We don't have to change our opinion of T. Higgins one bit.
No, I was already this high on him.
This is just where he should have been going. He's in that tier. He's in that tier of 8 guys somewhere between wide receiver 12 and 20 in Dynasty that you can argue for whichever one you want. He's in that realm. And people have their opinions, but that's where T. Higgins has always belonged. He was going outside of wide receiver 25 in Dynasty, which
what
is
are we doing?
Why do I not have him on every roster I have? Why didn't I buy him there all the time?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I've got a ton. I actually sold one T. Higgins share to get Brandon Ayuk, which absolutely bit me. But I still have a ton of T. Higgins across my dynasty leagues because he was so cheap. He was so cheap.
He's and is he going to get banged up again? Probably, but he's a guy who he's a touchdown machine. Like,
he's out-targeting since he came back. He has out-targeted Jamar Chase every single game.
Right.
Every game.
Right. Not everybody in the league. Even there's a lot of good receivers in the league who just for whatever reason in the landscape of the NFL can't handle 12 targets a game. They can't carry that load. He can. Right? He doesn't because he has Jamar Chase, but he's that type of body, he's that type of physicality. He's always been he's always been a buy until now where he's going where he should. This is what he should be doing.
And there's a real chance this offseason he takes a massive jump because somebody's going to give him wide receiver 1 money somewhere.
Yeah. That's true. He's definitely getting wide receiver 1. Like, is he a wide receiver 2 on his team? Yes. When he goes to the market, he is not looked at as a wide receiver 2. I'll tell you that.
No, he's going to get top 10 money.
So,
all right, last 2 guys here. They're falling. Actually, one hasn't, but and one really has, and it makes sense why. Tyreek Hill. He fell, but we know why he fell.
He fell. Well, when you're 30 years old, 31 years old, it doesn't take a lot to get you to fall. If we know anything about dynasty managers, like once somebody turns 30, they'll stick with them.
The first sign of trouble.
All right, I'll stick with you, but the first sign. So he's fallen a lot. Is he going to go up? Like if he has 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in his first game with Tua, he'll rise up. I don't think like coming into this season he was like wide receiver 10. I don't think he ever gets back there no matter what. Just because we've seen how Tua dependent he is. Like he's Tua dependent. Now, maybe if the Dolphins had Joe Flacco, maybe he never falls at all, right?
Yeah.
But just with what they were working with, it was so bad. But I don't think he ever goes back to where he was. But he is a guy who, if you're a contender, if Tua stays healthy, can Tyreek Hill win you the championship? Yes. Let's not forget what this man was last year and even the first week this year. So it's justified his falling.
Will probably be next year if he stays with the Dolphins.
Yeah, but his falling is justified. It is. But if I'm a contender, are there a lot of guys who Dynasty at large ranks ahead of Tyreek that I would trade for him to win this year? Yeah, there are.
If you're a contender, a true contender, you trade T. Higgins for Tyreek Hill with Tua back?
T. Higgins is a no. No, I would not trade T. Higgins. No.
Chris Olave?
So let's look. So right now, where is Tyreek ranked? Tyreek is wide receiver 22. Olave, yes. I'm ready to have an Olave conversation.
I'm getting out on Olave big time.
Dude.
I said this to Josh. The best move I made all offseason was trading Chris Olave.
Yeah, like he's unplayable.
Yeah.
Like he's unplayable. But anyways, Zay Flowers, I would trade him for Tyreek. Yeah, those guys I'm trading for Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's going right behind him. I don't think I would. I think Waddle, again, I've talked about him as a buy for weeks now.
Waddle's too low.
He's too low. George Pickens, I trade him for Tyreek. JSN, I trade him for Tyreek. Jordan Addison, I trade him for Tyreek. Like, those are guys going around him right now. I would trade all those guys for Tyreek if I'm a contender. Xavier Worthy, please.
Oh,
please.
gosh, yes.
Not that I'm out on Xavier Worthy, but, guys, it's Tyreek Hill. Like, let's not forget who this guy was.
Yeah.
If for some reason there's a rebuild out there with Tyreek Hill, which is possible, like somebody who didn't think they were going to rebuild and now they are, if you could trade Brandon Ayuk for him, please. Yeah. Like, Brandon Ayuk's he's a guy out of rebuild you want, right?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But those are guys going around him that were not going around him week 1 this year, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And if Tua stays healthy, I mean, you can win the championship with Tyreek Hill.
Yep. And a real quick side note you had mentioned, we had actually thought about doing this episode. We're not going to, but a rebuild that didn't think they were a rebuild is something we may revisit next week or down the road because you and I are actually in that situation.
I don't want to, Ben.
I don't want to either. I had all right, I'm contending. And then
I don't want
it's
to.
a devastating week. All right, we had put one more name on here, and I know you probably want to have this conversation, is Terry McLaurin.
Man, he's a weird one. He's good. He's good. I was coming into this year, I was not buying Terry McLaurin, but I was open to the idea that, man, if Jaden Daniels is good, like Terry McLaurin could get a real boost. He could get a real boost. He was always a guy for me who, if it was less than a 12-team league, I just wasn't interested in him because he's a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, and that's what he's going to be. Like, didn't have a super high ceiling, right? He was just kind of, meh. You know, he's going to finish the year wide receiver 25, and everyone's going to complain that he's really good but doesn't have a quarterback. That's what he's been his whole career. But with Jaden Daniels, the offense looks good, and he's their best offensive weapon. So I think his rise is warranted. Now, he's not in the T. Higgins, Devonta Smith. He's not in that realm yet. He hasn't risen that high. But he's now a person who I feel confident if he's my wide receiver 2, if Terry McLaurin's the second best wide receiver on my team, if you're in a 12-team league, you are not disqualified from winning a championship. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
He just is. That's what he's been with Jaden.
Yeah, no, I've always liked Terry. The problem is, like, the guy's literally played with over 10 quarterbacks in his career. Over 10.
Crazy.
And now, I hate that it happened this long, but at 29, I think it's safe to say he's found a guy, a big-time guy who's getting in the ball.
Yeah, and he gets in the ball. He gets in the ball in the red zone. If you watch red zone drives with Jaden Daniels, it's
fun.
Terry McLaurin, maybe Zach Ertz, run. That's the read. And so, looks really good. And Terry's a guy who can make fantastic catches, and Jaden's a guy who's not afraid to throw it up in one-on-one coverage when he sees it.
He did it in college, and he's got an elite guy who can do it in the pros. Why not?
Right. That's one issue I've always had with Terry is he's got a little George Pickens in him where he makes great catches, but he struggles to get open. But when you have a guy who's willing to throw those jump balls and can do it and trust you to go get them, it can be really effective.
Yeah. And And I'm excited. I'm low-key, I'm a little excited for George Pickens with Russ because Russ fits his skill set perfectly.
That was a good sign.
Yeah.
That was a good sign. Now, are we a few weeks away from Russ turning back into a pumpkin?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
It could happen next week.
Very easily.
It could happen next week.
Could Justin Fields be the starter in 4 weeks? Yep. But right now, I like it.
I mean, Russ didn't have a bad season last year. I think.
Stop what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You need to stop.
Did Sean Payton just lump everything on Russ? Is that what happened?
Did Sean Payton, who knows ball, who knows football, pay $80 million for Russell Wilson not to play for him?
Did.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did.
He
$80 million.
Hates that man. That's disrespectful amounts of hate. That's what that is.
The numbers from Russ last year don't look bad. I will agree with you there. The numbers look fine. But Sean Payton paid $80 million for him not to be on the team. So that tells me there's some underlying stuff with Russ that may not be the best.
Yeah. Either way, in this moment,
Either way.
it looks pretty good. All right.
Yeah.
I think that's it for this week. Landon, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you're excited for this week?
Anything I'm excited for this? Well, I'm hoping I get to see Jaden Daniels suit up against Caleb Williams. That would be awesome.
I would love that. I really hope Jaden's okay. He's not going to miss extended time, but
looks like we might not get it, and I desperately, like I need air, I need Jonathan Taylor to play this week. Like I need air to breathe, I need Jonathan Taylor to play this week.
Oh my gosh, you're in last place.
Last place?
This is how wide open this league is, though. There's 3 teams with winning records, and everyone else can get into the playoffs. Everyone can still get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm in last place, and I'm not selling. I'm still trying to win. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
But I need Jonathan Taylor to play so bad.
Yeah. It looks like he's probably going to play. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, I think he's going to play.
I need you to win because you're playing Josh, who's tied for last place, and I've got Josh's first, so I would love to see him solely in last place.
Dude, if I beat Josh this week, Josh is in real trouble.
If you beat Josh this week, I guarantee you he's going to full-blown panic mode.
If either one of us lose, we're probably going to full-blown panic mode, but I still like my team as far as, like, even if I don't win this year, I like my team going forward.
Oh, I love your team going forward.
Yeah, so
yours
I'm
might
not in
be my
full-blown
favorite.
panic mode.
Yours might be my favorite Dynasty team in this league. I'm trying to make some moves because I just don't think my team's got the juice this year. But as it sits, yours is my favorite team from a Dynasty lens.
I could definitely see you and I making a trade in the future in this league, and it could be me selling and you buying, or it could be you selling and me buying. I have no idea which direction it's going to go.
It depends how these next week or so goes for me because I've got some trades out there in the ether. We'll see what comes back, but
I've got a couple.
It's interesting right now.
We're in a weird spot.
I don't like it.
Dynasty's getting weird, folks.
Yep.
It's getting weird.
All right. Well, anyway, that's all we've got for you today. If you enjoyed the episode, leave us a comment, leave us a like, leave us a review. Let us know what you think. You can follow us on Instagram. Josh has not been posting as much as he should have, and I hope he listens to this outro. I'm going to need him to step
surprised.
up. I mean, who's shocked? Who's shocked? I'm not.
I'm not surprised.
Anyway, that's all we got. We'll see you boys in the next one.